I just want to say that I will not be alone in making this presentation. I'll be assisted by this young brother of mine here, especially when I'm making general comments. When I'm presenting, I'll be using also English because I know this mambo is followed by many people, not only in Malawi, but also Zambia and Zimbabwe. But I'll not read long sections of my talk. I'll read certain sections and make comments, and then Father will summarize. Except when I'll be talking about my Maria, I will read a long section, my Maria. But before I do so, I think I just want to set the stage. And setting the stage, I would like to say that this gathering here, there are a few things we need to remember. The first one is that the first word of Jesus, if you want to summarize, to his disciples was come. And his last word, that's before his death, of course, and yeah, after his death, before his ascension, was go. So these two words are very important. First word to us, we are his children, and his first word is come to me, have life. And at the end, go and share what you have seen and experienced with me with the rest of the world.
Mwachidule pamene tikuyamba zokambirana zathu masanano ambuye akunena kuti mawu amene atitsogolere kapena akambidwe kwambiri ndi mawu a Ambuye Yesu. Kuti Ambuye Yesu pamene amayamba utumiki wawo pansi pano amauza ophunzirawo kuti bwerani kwa ine, bwerani. Koma pamene analukwera kumwamba anawawuza kuti pitani kaonetseni zimene mwaona kwa ine. So mawu amene atsindikidwe kwambiri ndi Ambuye Yesu, bwerani komanso pitani.
The other thing I would like to explain here as setting the stage for the presentation, which is renewing and deepening our Eucharistic faith, is that we are pilgrims in this world. That this is not our eternal home. And here at Maura, there's a vivid testimony to this, affecting first and foremost we, the bishops, and you, just inside this beautiful cathedral, lies the remains of a young servant of God who died very suddenly when we never expected. He's lying there is a loud acclamation that we have no permanent home in this world, because nobody expected. I think it's good to remember this. And the second thing I would like to say on that is that, without bothering you with too many details, the first words in Greek of the word parish was actually a colony of foreigners. The reason is that the Christians, the early Christians, demonstrated very vividly that this world was not their home. And because they were treated very badly, they tended to stay together. So in every city, they packed themselves in one corner of that place where they felt safe. And the others nicknamed that place as a colony of foreigners. And we are foreigners.
Zinthu ziwiri zofunikira pamene tukambirana za Eucharistia masanano, choyambirira tidziwe kuti ndife anthu amene tili pa ulendo tonse, maepiskopi, ansembe komanso tonse amene tasonkhana pano. Ndipo malo amene tikusonkhana pano ndi umboni waukulu oti ndife alendo, akupereka chitsanzo cha mmodzi mwa maepiskopi amene akugona m'tchalichi umo, amene anamwalira pamene wina aliyense sanali kuyembekezera Ambuye ziyaye mzimu wawo ndi mtendere. Kachiwiri akunena kuti ngakhale mawu onena kuti parish anatsindikidwa kwambiri potengera moyo wa Khristu oyambirira amene anachivomereza kuti pasi pano ndi alendo, ndipo pachifukwa chimenecho ankakhala malo amodzi pomalimbikitsana. Ifenso ngati Akhristu tisayiwale kuti ndife alendo.
We are in the year of Jubilee of Hope. I would like also briefly to all these things I'm doing so that I can contextualize the reflection that I'm going to give. We are in the Jubilee of Hope. I wanted to comment on the word hope. The word hope is very rich, I think. We are in the year of election, so some of you have your husbands who are standing as councillors, and you are hoping that they will win elections. That is hope too. Some of you have your wives who are standing as want to become MPs. Well, that is hope too. Or your fodder has not yet been sold and you hear that the market is improving. You hope to get more money out of it. That is hope too. And we are still managing apples, good husband. That is also hope too, that I will find a good husband, I will find it. But the ultimate meaning of hope within the Catholic context, within us, among us, is that in spite of challenges on the way, as pilgrims in this world, relying on the Eucharist and relying on the support and guidance of the Holy Spirit, we will reach our eternal home. This is the hope that the church is referring to. I'm not saying the hope for looking for a good husband is not hope. I'm not saying the hope for looking to be elected as president or councillor is not hope. But within the Catholic faith, as pilgrims in this world, the real hope that we're talking about when we say the Jubilee of Hope is that in spite of obstacles and failures on the way, relying on the Eucharist, relying on the Holy Spirit, we will reach our eternal home.
Mwachidule kunena kuti ifeyo ngati Akhristu timakhala ndi chiyembekezo m'magawo osiyanasiyana. Apereka zitsanzo kuti ena azibale athu ayimbira zisankho, tili ndi chiyembekezo choti apambana, ena mwina malonda afonja sitinagulitse, tili ndi chiyembekezo kuti ziyenda bwino. Koma ngati Akhristu chiyembekezo chathu chenicheni chachikulu ndi kudalira Eucharistia. Motsogozedwa ndi Mzimu Woyera, Eucharistia utithandiza kuti tikafike kwathu kwenikweni. Chimenecho ndiye chiyembekezo chimene tichigwiritsitse.
Akhristu okondeka, I would like also to say, mphamvu zeni za parish, the real strength of the parish. We are tempted to gather you and us and bishops and the priests present here. Usually we measure the strength of a parish by the number of Christians there, but also the money that they give. But the real strength of a parish is the level of the Eucharistic faith of that parish, meaning how many people in that parish are receiving sacraments and how many vocations to priesthood and religious life are there. I'm not saying the money is not important. I'm saying the real distinguishing factor, identity of a Christian is his attachment or his communion or his closeness to Christ. It is not by the quality of the suit he's wearing. It's not about the quality of the chitenge she's wearing. It is about the closeness of her heart and his heart to Jesus Christ, especially as he communes with him in the sacrament of the Eucharist. We sometimes make a lot of mistakes about this. I'm not saying money is not important, but I've also heard that right in town here, Mzuzu and other places, maybe in Karonga too, when some people who are very rich, and they hear that we should come to Mpakati where they have to pray, but they don't want, they just say, how much are they asking us to give there at Mpakati? And they say 10,000 to give the wife, go and give it there, I'm not going there. That is not Christianity. It is not. It is not. It is not a measure of faith.
Chikristu chenicheni tikabwera kwa ife Akatolika, si nkhani ya ndalama kapena kuchuluka kwa zinthu imene parish ili nazo. Mphamvu yeniyeni ya Chikristu chathu yagona mmene timaperekera ulemu kapena timachichirikira pa sakramenti makamaka la Eucharistia. Sizipengera kuti tachena chotani ayi. Nde akufotokozanso kuti alipo Akhristu ena amene amaganiza kuti Chikristu chagona pakungopereka. akunena kuti kupereka sikolakwika koma kutsogoleredwe ndi mmene timalemekezera Eucharistia, kuti anthu ena amatha kunena kuti kuli fundraising ndipereka mmene ndingaperekere pamene sakulemekeza ndi kupembedza Eucharistia, ndipo akubwereza Chikhristu chenicheni chagona pa Eucharistia.
Now let me come to my talk, and I don't want you to miss the introduction. In teaching, students have missed the introduction. They are lost until the end of the lecture or the lesson. I think for us, basically what I've tried to demonstrate is that this gathering is inviting us to renew our faith in the Eucharist and to deepen our faith in the Eucharist. And we will need 4 pillars to achieve this. The first one is that we must have a personal encounter with Jesus in the Eucharist. The phrase of it is Eucharistic encounter. The second one is that we must identify ourselves with Christ in the Eucharist. As Ambuya Tambara talked about yesterday, we are branches of this big tree who is Jesus Christ. We must maintain that. That's where our identity as Christians comes from. So, Eucharistic identity. The third one is that having received the Eucharist and improved and changed our identity and made it the same, showing the face of Christ, we must live a Eucharistic life. In other words, the Eucharist we receive, rely on, must transform our life. So, Eucharistic identity. And the last one, Ambuya Tambara also touched on that, and Father Kanjira also touched on it, about being sent to proclaim the name of Jesus, Eucharistic mission. So, first of all, we encounter Jesus in the Eucharist, and then Eucharistic encounter. We identify ourselves with the risen Lord in the Eucharist, a Eucharistic identity. We allow Jesus in the Eucharist to transform our lives. We offer our sufferings also to Him, and together with Him, Eucharistic life. And we go out to proclaim, to bring others to the Eucharist, Eucharistic mission.
Akuti chimene chinyamule maphunziro onsewa pali zinthu zinayi, ndipo inenso ndifuna ndionere nanga si amakumbutsa kunena kuti abwereza zina zimene bambo Kanjira anafotokoza mmawa. Choyambirira pamene tikukamba za Eucharistia ndi kukumana naye Ambuye Yesu mu Eucharistiyawo, ndipo tikakumana naye tikhale mmodzi mwa Iye, tisanduke Ambuye Yesu wina chifukwa choti tamulandira. Ndipo kachitatu, miyoyo yathu isinthike, tisanduke anthu amene tsopano ndi Eucharistia, Eucharistic life. Ndipo potsirizira tinyamuke zimene tazipangazo tikazilalike, tikazionetse ku dziko limene ife tikukhalamo.
Let us very briefly unpack the first one, Eucharistic identity. Let me do as we are doing with Don Bosco Ndiana School. Those 4 phrases. The first one, what? Okay, so I will read the long part, you give me the phrase. Personal encounter with Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. Eucharistic encounter. And then identifying ourselves with Jesus. Eucharistic identity. Then conforming our lives to Jesus in the Eucharist. Then becoming missionaries to bring others to the Eucharist, to the celebration of the Eucharist. Barayanga, if you can really go home and do this properly, the Congress might as well end today. But I think, let me read this, that the renewal, and let me deal with the first one. All the other sacraments that we have, this Eucharistic encounter now, or everything that the church does, all the sacraments that we have, all the works that the church does, the aim is to bring people to Christ. We have schools, we have hospitals, we have parishes, we have outstations, we have prayer centers, but all these things are aimed at showing people the face of God, the face of Jesus, and that they should come to him. And that's why sometimes I get very irritated, not here, but in the diocese entrusted to me. I meet some people, they're following on my radio, so I should be careful what I'm saying. There are people who are mainly interested in the diocese just to receive money, just to receive ufa, just to mean. I tell them repeatedly, I am not Chipiku, I am not Southern Borders, I'm not the Malawi government. I am a missionary. Whatever I do must, at the end of the day, lead people to face Jesus. And I think this is very much, even as mine. You have different groups here, Lady of Mary, Sacred Heart, so many of them. I suppose the ultimate aim of all this is to meet Jesus, I suppose.
Akuti mumpingo mu zonse zimene timapanga cholinga chake nkuti tikumane ndambu Yesu. Ne akuti tilipo anthu ena mumpingo mu amene timangobwerera mwina fashion kufuna mwina katilandire ufa, nde ananena mopepesa kuti kukakhala kwawo amaneneratu kuti iwo si Chipiku, si Southern Borders kuti alandiritsa zinthu ayi. Cholinga chachikulu cha mumpingo ndikuti tonsefe tiperekezane kuti tikumane ndi Yesu Khristu. Ife amene timalemekeza ndi kulandira Eucharistia, imeneyo ndiye ikhale ngodya yathu. Apa kutambasulira ngodya yoyamba ija ya Eucharistic encounter.
We thank you and we salute you. You are doing great work, and a good number of you are very selfless, but let us accept it. There are priests who think attending a meeting, even watching a football game, even traveling to see a friend, these are far more important than leading the faithful in prayers. There are priests who think that the Mass can be cancelled at any excuse. If there are some sitting here, you should be ashamed where you are sitting, but this is bad. We were ordained for no greater reason, you and us bishops, for no greater reason than to bring these people of Christ before the sacrament of the Eucharist and to receive Jesus in the... There's no greater role. Anyone who's telling us there's something more is a heretic.
Oyamba akuthokoza kuti ansembe ambiri odzipereka kutengera nkhosa za Ambuye kuti apembedze, alandire, alemekeze, akumane ndi Ambuye Yesu mu Eucharistia. Komanso akuchenjeza kuti alipo ansembe ena akatchali amene timapereka ma excuse ambiri, ndaonjezera alipo ansembe ambiri amene timachita zosakhulupirika kutengera ndi zimene anatidzozera. Akuti palibenso china cha mtengo wapatali kuposa chimene wansembe anadzozedwera kupambana kutengera anthu kuti akumane ndi Yesu Khristu mu Eucharistia.
By Eucharistic identity. Eucharistic identity grows up by receiving the Eucharist, by adoring Jesus Christ in the Eucharist, by being one with this big tree as a living branch. It means by acknowledging that the Eucharist is Jesus, the Son of God, and the Judge of the living and the dead. Acknowledging him fully, not lightly, and behaving accordingly. I think it was one of the speakers yesterday touched on this. The way we behave before Jesus in the sacrament of the Eucharist shows if we really believe that here there is the Son of God.
Kuti tikhale ngati mmodzi kapena tiphathane kwenikweni ndi Ambuye Yesu mu sakramenti la Eucharistia, kukhala Eucharistic identity, chachikulu ndi kumvomera Ambuye Yesuyo. Ndipo kumvomerako sipakamwa pokhayi, koma makhalidwe athu komanso chipembedzo chathu chisonyeze chonena kuti ukaristiyawo timazindikira kuti ndi chani.
Now let me turn to you, the Christians, before I talk about my brother priest again. No, let me start with them. Because otherwise, because I'm also one of them, you know. How do you behave before Jesus, the Son of God, the judge of the living and the dead? We go to the Bible. All people of faith who encountered Jesus, we are told repeatedly that they fell at his feet. They fell at his feet. And the people, even like St. Peter, said, "Get away from me, Lord, because I'm a sinful man." But all those who went to beg something from him did not stand, did not kneel, some did, but most of them prostrated before the Son of God.
Akuyamba kuti tikhala bwanji anthu amene tikusonyeza kuti tikuphatana ndi Ambuye Yesu. Nde akuyambira ndi ansembe kuti tidziyang'ane makhalidwe athu pamaso pa Eucharistia. Kuti tikatenga mbiri ya mpingo, anthu onse amene analandira madalitso chifukwa cha Eucharistia ndi anthu amene osati kuti amangogwada chabe, koma amagona chafufumimba pamaso pa Ambuye Yesu kusonyeza kudzichepetsa kwenikweni.
Now, you, my brother priest, I have not seen my brother bishop doing that. Some answering phones, praying with phones during Mass. Nothing can be more sacrilegious than this. It is an abomination. You cannot sit there in front of the Son of God, the judge, where every one of us wants, and you are answering a WhatsApp message. A priest who was anointed in the name of God to be, Father Gandhira was talking about, to be another Christ in our midst. Do you think that Jesus, those mobile phones were not there during the Last Supper in that upper room? Do you think he would have had time to answer WhatsApp message at that time? It is wrong. It is scandalous. It is not acceptable.
Ogamba waifa nsembe kuti tiyang'ane makhalidwe athu ngati tikuphatana ndi Ambuye Yesu msakramenti la Eucharistia. Akuti ndizomvetsa chisoni kumaseweretsa foni pamene pakuchitika mwambo wa Eucharistia kapena nsembe ya misa. Ndakufunsa kuti tikuganiza kuti Ambuye Yesu pa phwando lotsiriza lija akadakhala ndi nthawi yomwe angafunsa pa WhatsApp kuti mpira wayamba mwachitsanzo kusalemekeza sakramenti la Eucharistia mwa njira yotere ndi tchimo losakhululukidwa. It's an abomination. Tchimo losakhululukidwa londangonjezera.
And you, the Christians, I think a good number of you do well. But there's also a number of you, when you are entering the church there, until you sit down, you are still talking to your friend about the behavior of your husband. And you, the men, are still complaining about the behavior of your children, right in front of the judge of the living and the dead. It is not right. You too, how much time do you spend on attending to your phone than following the Mass? One Muslim theologian, I usually don't quote Muslim theologian. I think where they are listening, they are saying, you see, we tell them that we are great. He wanted to dispute him the presence of God or Jesus in the Eucharist, because Muslims, this is a terrible thing to say. He said, we know that the Eucharist cannot be God, cannot be the Son of God. God cannot remain or stay in that host or in that small box there. He said, by the way, even the Catholics themselves, by their behavior, they show that they really don't believe it. Because if they really believed that in those churches there's God, they would be going on their knees inside there. But the fact that they chat, they beat one another, they answer the phone, even they themselves are proving that this is not the case. Such a terrible accusation. Terrible one. But the problem is, since sometimes we do it, it's very difficult to insert this Muslim theologian.
Kwa Efeso wa Kristu tonse akunena kuti ngakhale tanena ansembe nafenso timaonetsa makhalidwe ena osonyeza kuti sitikhulupirira zazikulu za Eucharistia pobwerekera mawu amene anagwiritsa ntchito bambo Kanjira mmawa nkhani ya kusinkhasinkha akuti tilipo akhristu ena amene timakhala tikuchezabe nkhani za kunyumba kwathu kaza amuna athu kaza ana athu mpaka tikulowa mchechi ndipo akuti iwo sakudabwa pobwerekeranso mawu a katswiri wina wa Chisilamu amene ananena kuti ndizoonadi kuti mukanthu kamene katimati ndi buledi katimati tabenako simukhaladi Ambuye Yesu chifukwa tikanakhala kuti timakhulupirira kuti timakhala Ambuye Yesu bweza Khristu polowa mchechi tikuyenda chogwada kusonyeza kuti Ambuye Yesu ali modi koma tisamdandaule kwambiri chifukwa makhalidwe yathu amasonyeza kuti mwinadi zimene iyeyo amanena ndizoona apa kungotsindika kufunika kulemekeza sakramenti la Eucharistia.
I appeal now to you, brother Christians and sister Christians here. I think Ambuye still attached on it. There are too many of you outside the sacraments. We, your bishops, there is nothing more terrifying us than the thought that one of you, even one of you, who is outside the sacraments, would die suddenly. Because when you are not receiving sacraments, it means your relationship with the church and Christ, the head of it, has been cut off. And if you die suddenly, without mending this relationship, Ambuye Tambara touched on this yesterday. There can be only one place, eternal darkness. We, the bishops, are very frightened about this. The number of Christians who are not receiving sacraments. I'm not saying those of you who are not receiving sacraments should not come to church. But what I'm saying, do everything possible to mend your relationship with God. Because the time will be called in this world, from this world, you don't know. For my fellow, we, your bishops, and we, your priests, there's nothing more frightening us than a Christian out of sacramental life dying suddenly. It is terrible. And that's why the church has even asked, given us this prayer to Mary, intercession, pleading with Mary, to pray for us and at the hour of death. I wanted to emphasize our big concern that huge numbers of Catholics who are outside sacramental life. It's a terrible thing. And you, our judicial vicars, do everything possible within the law to bring people to the altar of Christ. But don't do the rubbish things we're hearing somewhere in the past, that whether your marriage is not blessed, or they just come and say, yai, is your child. Mend your relationship with God. Mend your relationship with the church.
Akudandaula momvera chisoni kuti tilipo akhristu ambiri amene tili kunja kwa masakramenti ndipo sitikuchita khama kuti tikonze ubale wathu ndi Mulungu kudzera mwa mpingo wake. Pobwerera kumutuja tinamba nawo kunena kuti ndife apa ulendo akuti ndi zinthu zomvetsa chisoni kuti munthu utati umwalire pamene usakulandira masakramenti makamaka sakramenti la Eucharistia. Nde apempha oyang'anira malamulo mu mpingo wathu kuti ayesetse kuthandiza anthu amene ali ndi milandu kuti akonze, koma sizikutanthauza kuti powathandiza anthu aphwanye malamulo, atsate dongosolo kuti amene angakwanitse abwerere mu mpingo komanso aziyanjana ndi Ambuye Yesu mu sakramenti la Eucharistia.
Before I move forward to pillar number 3, let me finish on this Eucharistic identity by saying I talked about Eucharistic identity is nourished by receiving the Eucharist and adoring Christ in the Eucharist. We must promote benediction and adoration in our parishes. In fact, I want to be very brief with you. If there's any parish where there's no adoration whatsoever, there's no benediction whatsoever, it's a dead parish. Parish Akufa. It's a dead parish. Benedict XVI said, where there's no Eucharist, there can be no church. He was underlining important. But honestly, there's no adoration, no benediction. It's a dead parish. You might not like what I'm saying, but I will not apologize. It's a dead parish.
Asanabwere kufundo yachitatu pankhani ya Eucharistia akubwerezanso kupempha kwa nsembe motsindika kunena kuti m'maparishimo tiyesetse muzichitika miyambo ya Eucharistia, udalitso komanso miyambo ina ya chipembedzo ya Eucharistia. Ndipo potsindika kunena kuti parishi kumene sikumachitika miyambo ya Eucharistia makamaka udalitso parishi imeneyo ndi yakufa. Akubwerekera mawu a Apapa Benedicto a 16 kuti kuparishi kumene samalemekeza Eucharistia parishi imeneyo ndi yakufa. Ndipo akutsindika kuti pafundo imeneyi ngakhala nsembe ena zitiwawe sangapepese.
Let's come to the Eucharistic life. I think I did emphasize quite a lot on this. The main point is that people become what they eat. So we, as Christians, our food on this journey as pilgrims is the Eucharist. But we must, for this to really happen, we must also conform our lives. Our lives must be conformed to Christ. We must live like Christ, whom we receive in the Eucharist.
Anthu amakhala chimene amadya potambasula fundo yachitatu imene tikuyenera kukhala anthu a Eucharistia, Eucharistic people ayamba choncho Ambuye. Ndipo akutsindika kunena kuti sinkhani yongolandira chabe tikalandira moyo wathu wonse tiyesetse kuti ufanane ndi wa Ambuye Yesuwo.
I would also like to say, my dear brothers and sisters, I've talked a lot here about our respect, adoration of Jesus in the Eucharist, but let us not forget, the same Jesus who is in the Eucharist is also in his poor brothers and sisters. He is also in his oppressed children, sons and daughters. We cannot respect sufficiently Jesus in the Eucharist if we don't love him as he appears to us in the persons of those who are in need. And that's why in Matthew 25 he talked about whatever you did to the least of my brothers and sisters, you did unto me. What I want to emphasize here, my brothers and sisters, is that we who receive the Eucharist, we who adore the Eucharist, must also see the face of the same Jesus in those who are suffering, those who are ill-treated. There is no difference between the two. It is a lie that we, the bishops, should just, and the priests, should just concentrate our work here in the church. But we must also respect, we must also attend to Jesus as he appears to us in the persons of those who are in need, those who are ill-treated, those who are chased away from their homes, those who are denied what should be theirs. That is also Jesus being ill-treated. Before I give to my translator, you will remember St. Paul, when he was going to Damascus to arrest Christians there, he fell when he saw that bright light. He got a question from Jesus. Paul, Saul, why are you, did Jesus say, why are you persecuting them? Or did he say, why are you persecuting me?
pamene akutsindika kuti tikhala bwanji anthu osonyeza kuti ndife Eucharistia, akunena kuti nchosakwanira akungochita miyambo ya Eucharistia, udalitso ndi zina zoterozo, koma moyo umene tikutapa tikachita miyambo ya Eucharistia tionetse moyo wathu wa tsiku ndi tsiku, ndipo palibe kusiyanitsa pakati pa kuthandiza anthu ovutikitsitsa, kuthandiza anthu ochepeketsedwa, kuthandiza anthu amene akusowa chilungamo ndi kulandira Eucharistia. Olandira Eucharistia akuyenera akathandize anthu amene akusautsidwa mwa njira yosiyanasiyana. Akutsindika mawu a Ambuye Yesu pa Mateyu 25 ndi 40 kuti chilichonse chimene umachitira abale angawa umachitira ine amene, ndipo akubwerekeranso mawu a Paulo m'makalata ake makamaka pamene anali kutembenuka mtima kuti Ambuye Yesu sadamfunse kuti Paulo ukuwavutiranji anthuwo, koma anamfunsa kuti ukundivutitsiranji ine, kusonyeza kuti aliyense amene akusautsidwa ndi Yesu amene. Choncho Yesu amene timamulandira tikakumane nayenso mwa abale athu amene ndi ochepekedwa, osautsidwa, komanso amene akulira.
Let's come to our Mother Mary. Our Mother Mary stood there at the foot of the cross. What was she doing? Would say, well, the one who was being crucified was her son. We know that at Golgotha at that time, there were many people. Some came to sympathize with this crucified man who used to help them. Some came just to be spectators. But Mary was not there as a spectator. Our Mother Mary also offered, joined in the sacrifice of her son to the Father. She took part in it, not in the same degree as Jesus, but she understood exactly what was happening. And she was with him as he offered his life. If we say the church and Christ is a marriage between Christ and the church, then Mary was standing for us in that marriage. Mary stood at the foot of the cross, not only to sympathize with her son, but also to support him and participate in his crucifixion. And that's why Mary is very important, because she sets an example for us that when we come here to offer the sacrifice of the Mass, of the Eucharist, we also should offer ourselves together with Christ to the Father, offer our problems, offer our hopes, participating in the sacrifice of Jesus, just like Mary did. She stood there. I don't want to talk about John. He's good, but he's not greater than Mary. Mary stood there to participate in the sacrifice of her son. And that's why among human beings, there's no greater intercessor between us and Jesus than Mary. I think I'm trying to underline here that we should see Mary as being very connected to the sacrament of the Eucharist, because Mary participated in this same, the big sacrifice on Golgotha.
Kuphunzira kuchokera kwa zochitika pansi pa mtanda, makamaka kuchokera kwa amayi athu Maria, kuti pamene tikukamba za Eucharistia, nthawi yomweyo sitingathe kusiyanitsa ndi maphunziro amene amayi athu Maria amatipatsa. Pansi pa mtanda paja panali anthu ambiri ena ongoyang'ana, koma amayi Maria anatenga gawo lalikulu popereka nawo nsembe, osati monga mmene Yesu Khristu anali kuperekera, koma mwa njira yapaderadera popatsanitsa moyo wawo ndi wa mwana wake anapereka nawonso nsembe. Chimodzimodzinso ife amene timalandira Ambuye Yesu msakramenti la Eucharistia tikuyenera tizipereka nsembe zathu mwa njira zosiyanasiyana. Pali ophunzira ambiri a Ambuye Yesu amene tingathe kuphunzirako, koma onsewo sakuposa amayi Maria. Choncho pamene tikukamba za Eucharistia tisasiyanitse ndi kupempha uneneri wa amayi Maria kuti atithandize kumvetsa bwino ndi kutsatira Ambuye Yesu mu Eucharistia.
Request to you, my brothers and sisters, Pamisa. In Malawi and I should say in Africa here, let me begin with the principal teaching. The principal teaching is that, as I've already said, as the priest leads us in the sacrifice, we should also participate in that sacrifice. We should also look in our hearts and give whatever is in our life together with that bread and wine to God. And that's why you are also supposed to give money, because as the priest offers the bread and wine, you also offer your money. But the most important thing is that when you come to this celebration of the Eucharist, when the priest is here offering bread and wine, you should listen. You should also offer yourselves throughout the whole Eucharistic celebration. I think this is important, and it will lead me properly into something that I'm going to say, which might be very disturbing to some people.
Pamene tikukamba zodzipereka notenga nawo gawo pa nsembe ya misa, azifotokoza magawo awiri. Gawo loyamba ndi kupereka nawo china chilichonse chimene tili nacho ngati nsembe yathu, pamene ansembe akupereka nsembe ya Ambuye Yesu paguwa. Koma choposaposa ndeno kupereka moyo wathu wonse pakumvetsera, kapena kupereka mtima wathu wonse pa zimene zikuchitika pa nsembe ya misa. So kupereka zimene tili nazo ngati nsembe, chachiwiri pakumvetsera ndi chidwi ndi kutenga nawo gawo pa zimene zikuchitika pa misa.
Allow me to reveal some secrets about you in our conference. I think His Grace from time to time makes strong comments about what was called for by the Vatican II, namely active participation of the Christians during the Eucharistic celebration. As I get older, I am beginning to follow him more closely. My brothers and sisters, most of these things, some of these things we do at Mass, are they external? Benedict was very clear that active participation should not just be limited to external things like singing and dancing. There is a problem here. Many of us come to the celebration of the Mass, the Eucharistic celebration. We are more attended to, more entertained than challenged to look into our hearts. Many choirs sing songs which make people turn their eyes, their faces, from the altar to the girls and boys who are dancing as they are singing. This too is sacrilegious. All choirs must sing in such a way that people go inside their hearts, that people focus on Jesus, not to say, the children who dance here, are they entertaining us or are they helping us to pray? Is it more of our senses, physical senses, or they're driving us into our hearts? I have told you before that in the Bible, when people went to meet Jesus, they fell on their face. Have we heard of someone who danced to go and meet Jesus? There is only David, I suppose. But there is nobody. Nobody danced. Even the first Pope, he did not dance. We should look into this. My brother Chris, we should challenge this. We should examine this. Let us not entertain people at Mass. Let us help people to go inside their hearts. To go inside their hearts. Nyimbo, the music, often is too fast. Too fast. It attains more to the ears. And the infatuation. Tambala compreso. Just say tambala. Okay. You can see how we call each other when we are now. Okay. Infatuation is a good thing. But some of the songs we take, sorry for, I'm in a chair around here, so I should say this, what they say. We take nyimbo za Chinamani. We take songs or melodies of Chinamani. Now, when these people, when this Chinamani, when they are hearing these songs, what do they think of? Do they think of Christ? Or do they think of Sinamla? Some of the songs, I don't want to be stoned when I'm going back to Karonga, are taken from the big religion. Some girls. When people hear those songs, what do they think about? Do they think about God or about this big religion? No. We are serious about this. We are serious about the Eucharist. We do not celebrate the Eucharist to remind us of Vimuza, Chinamari. We don't. We want to lead people to Christ. Because some of us come to Eucharistic celebration, we are laughing and murmurating from the beginning to the end. And we go out and we join wedding celebration, we murmurate and dance up to the end. We go to another disco, we murmurate and dance up to the end. We come back to the mass, we murmurate and dance at the end. Rubbish complete, my goodness. This is not what we should be doing.
Fundo imene angonena posachedwa eni kutofotokoza chifukwa inafunika kaya emotional anga amene afotokozera kuti mveke bwino. Koma nkhani yayikulu akubwerekera mawu amene amakondonena Ambuye Tambala komanso msonkhano wa chiwiri wa ku Vatican kunena kuti pamisa si nkhani yongonena kuti poti titenge nawo gawo ndiye zimene zikungooneka ndi maso ayi. Kutenga gawo kwakukulu ndi kusuzumira mu mtima mwathu. Ndiye pamene kusuzumira mu mtima mwako ndi nthawi yoyang'ana moyo wako kuti ndi otani. Koma tsoka ilo ndonena kuti ambiri pamisa pasanduka pamalo pa msangulutso kuti anthu aziseka, azilulutira, kuchoka chidwi chawo kuguwa kufika mwina kuyang'ana amene akuvina kapena amene akuyimba nyimbo. Izi si zabwino, izi si zoyenerera. Mwachidule amatero.
You think Mary at the foot of the cross was dancing as we usually dance? You think she had the courage to jump around, as we sometimes jump from there or around? I already said Mary sets an example of how we should celebrate the Eucharist. Let me move on to the last point before the last period, which will be on transforming our suffering. I think I'm very stigmatized on this, and it's providential that today is the Feast of the Transfiguration. I think just to add some details to what Amwe already said, the Transfiguration followed the disappointment of the disciples when they heard that Jesus was saying he was going to be crucified. They were so disappointed, and he showed himself from that mountain in glory, in a glorious form, to underline to them that through this suffering, he will reach his glory. And that's why the word from the Father was saying, this is my blood son, listen to him. Listen to him even in his suffering, even as he tells you about his suffering. In other words, our sufferings, united with Christ, offered to Christ, as Amir Stima said in the morning, can help us to be closer to Christ. And I think Father Kanjira also touched on it when he was answering one of the questions. Our sufferings can be an opportunity for us to come closer to Christ and to be more in communion with him. And they can be used for the salvation of others because they are completing what is lacking in others. So our sufferings, instead of driving us away from Christ, can, with faith, bring us closer to Christ. And we should allow these sufferings not to distance us from Christ. We should always remember the Feast of the Transfiguration, that through our sufferings, if we suffer together with Christ, we will rise with him and will reach our final destiny.
Ogamba zoyenera kusintha moyo wathu akuti palibe ndi chimodzi chomwe chimene tingalephere kuchisintha kukhala chikondi. Ndipo akulumikizitsa Eucharistia kuti tiyang'anenso chaka cha tsiku la lero kusinthika kwa Ambuye Yesu m'maonekedwe. Koma koposaposa pamene tikukamba zonena kuti kusintha moyo wathu, titha kutenganso ngakhale mavuto athu amene kuti ikhale njira yotembenuzira moyo wathu poyanjana ndi Ambuye Yesu.
You Catholics everywhere where you are hearing me, not only just in Milongo here. Some of you have made some false prophets and some false apostles very rich in town here. You go with problems there and you are told the reason why you have this problem is that you are not praying. The reason why you have this problem is that your church is not true. Give so much money, I will pray for you the whole night, and the whole night tomorrow, and the whole night the other night. And you can sell your chairs, you can sell your dining table. If not, you can sell your house, because God does not bless those who don't give. You get out of this church at 10 o'clock, you go to stadium to listen to some prophet up to tomorrow, because they are lying to you that there's such a thing as being a disciple of Jesus who does not carry any cross. Lying, lying, liars, liars, liars.
Bodza kunjavu. Limene limatitengetsa kudzisandutsa ife akatolika ngati zathu sizenizeni. Alipo aprofeti amene amatha kutiuza kuti tibwere nazo zonse azidalitse. Koma mapeto azonse zoona zake nzonena kuti sitinazindikire zazikulu zimene zili mu Eucharistia. Chifukwa olandira ndi kutsatira Ambuye Yesu kudzera mu Eucharistia azindikire kuti kulibe Chikhristu chopanda mtanda.
I would ask now that I said to translate my words immediately after I finish, I said to do like this prophet that I was talking about. And what I want to say is that, my dear brothers and sisters, no matter what your problems are, keep on walking with Jesus.
Ndipo akutendera adula nsanga.
Speak in first person, just like that.
Chabwino. Kodi mumakonda maprofeti kumene mumapitako.
I was saying, no matter what your problems are, keep on walking in your faith.
Mavuto ananga kule chotani, mtanda wanu ungalemere chotani, pitirizanibe kumayenda kuyangana na Yesu.
I don't mind whether the problem is your husband, keep on walking.
Ngakhale vuto adakhala munanu, ziyendanibe.
I don't mind whether the problem is your wife, keep on walking.
Ngakhale vuto ndakazi anuwo, ziyendanibe.
I don't mind whether the problem is hunger, keep on walking.
Ngakhale anthu amene ali kumbuyo kwanu ndiye vuto, ziyendanibe.
Even if there are problems you have, keep on walking.
Ngakhale vuto adakhala matenda, ziyendanibe.
Whether it is approaching death, keep on walking.
Ngakhale mukuyandikira imfa, ziyendanibe.
Jesus will walk you through death.
Ambuye Yesu anayenda mpaka imfa.
Jesus will walk you through death.
Ambuye Yesu akutengani mpaka mukafika kwa iye.
Jesus will take you through the darkest moment of your life.
Ambuye Yesu akakutengani mu mtima wandiweyani kuti mukafike kwa iye.
Don't get lost.
Osasochera.
Don't lose hope.
Osataya chikhulupiriro ndi chiyembekezo.
Build your life
Mangani moyo wanu
on the blessed sacrament.
pa sakramenti la Eucharistia.
Ndi mawu ake Ambuye Yesu.
Ndi mawu ake Ambuye.
Let's go to the last point. You who have received so much from the hand of God, you are asking Eucharistic mission, that's where we are now. Go out there and bring others to Christ. You who have been blessed with life. I started with our brother there. His body is lying there. In Data, there's another one, a very young bishop. In Mzuzu, too. We who are here is not because we are any better. God has shown his love and concern for us to be here today. We must go out and share that love with others. Let us go and call others to Christ. Let us bring all people to Christ. We cannot say we love Jesus in the Eucharist if we do not become Eucharistic ministers, missionaries. If we don't go out and ask others to come to the altar of Christ. And especially to encourage our brothers and sisters who do not receive the Eucharist because they have a tattered relationship with God and his church. Let us bring them over to God.
Tikhale atumiki a Eucharistia. Pamene tilandira tipembedza tichita zonse zokhudza Eucharistia tinyamuke tikayitane ena kuti adzakumanenso ndi Ambuye Yesu. Makamakaso iwo amene salandira Eucharistia, tipite tikayitane adzakumane ndi Ambuye Yesu.
My brothers and sisters, the Master of Ceremonies said after this there will be questions. No, there will be no questions. Anyone who has questions here, go there. Go and kneel there. And if you think your relationship with God is not good enough, there are a lot of priests here. I don't want any noise. Until the next event, go there. If this first big church is not big enough or does not really try to go there in the tomb of Ambuyesu, go and kneel there. If not, receive the sacrament of confession. No questions. Go there. He will answer. This is ultimately a prayer gathering. It is not a conference. We have come here to strengthen our faith in the Eucharist and deepen it. We should let God speak to us. We have spoken a lot. So that's how we finish. No questions. Instead, go there. I will also try to go there.
Mwamvayo.